Hello, everyone. This is the first time this stage, at least, I get 2 days in a row. Except I'm not with Carter anymore. I'm with my normal duo. Hello, Jonah.
Hello.
It was nice casting with Carter, but I'm certainly glad to be back with you. And we get KCP versus Outlast, the number 2 team from last stage up against the newly promoted Outlast. And Clubhouse, I have mixed feelings about Clubhouse. One, KCP played this a total of 4 times in the last stage. Twice in the regular season where they beat Hype Unit 7-5, and once where they clean swept Nemesis 7-0. So obviously, bringing that out once you've already secured playoffs, it's against the 2, weaker, quote-unquote, weaker teams in the group. You didn't really need to show stuff, and they brought it out twice in playoffs. They beat Supernova on it, and they beat Old Slaughterhouse on it. 2 powerhouse teams that were in the top 4. But like the analyst desk had mentioned, Clubhouse is a map that everybody should know. It's kind of like Oregon, where if you're a new team, you should know Clubhouse, and this might be one of those maps where good teams go to die.
I think that's fair. I honestly think that is a great point, because especially on a map like Clubhouse, on a map where we're definitely almost guaranteed to see both of these teams play again later in this stage, it not only gives Outlast a good idea of exactly what KCP want to do on this map, but it might give them an idea of how comfortable they are on Clubhouse compared to CL team strats. Do they have the defensive strategies to hang against probably the most composed attacks they're ever going to have seen as players new to this scene? Do they have the attacks to stack against probably the most composed defensive rounds they are going to ever come up against? Like you said, I'm absolutely going to agree with you. They are going to go into this, if they treat it as a learning experience, that could bring a lot of good things their way as well, because you go against any other team in this group, and considering that I think we all think that KCP are probably the favorites here, maybe late registration, that ex-Slaughterhouse roster, they've certainly got a fighting chance as well. But this is a team that if you just focus each round, you try to learn from every single thing that they do, yeah, like you said, it could be a positive regardless of the exact scoreline. Good thing is, Crow, we don't have to wait much longer to actually see at least what kind of Clubhouse we're going to have shaking up in front of us. All of our players are in this lobby, and we're going to get our operator bans underway.
Yep, we finally get into the game. And I believe the graphic is incorrect. It's actually KCP banning first. And they will go ahead and take out probably Thatcher, I would imagine. One of the
Clubhouse.
Either Thatcher or Maverick. Yeah. One of the hard breachers. We saw Hibana was actually left up, and there we go. It's going to be a Thatcher ban. First up from the Kansas City Pioneers. Another reminder, the graphic is unfortunately reversed. In-game, it's the Kansas City Pioneers on blue, and it's Outlast on orange. The second ban, usually it's a Hibana. She is just way too powerful. She can open up every single hatch. She's very versatile, but no, it'll actually be the Maverick from Outlast, and that's interesting because you're leaving up every other hard breacher, but now that Thatcher and Maverick are gone, your utility clear as the attackers has been significantly diminished, and that's going to have to prompt the Cade ban.
Right, I mean, almost a guarantee every time you see these 2 bans, and this final one generally could be a little bit looser. You reserve it for something more intel related, maybe a Malusi if you don't want to deal with those Banshees, but it could be, something like that Mira, as we're going to see it roll up here. A very common Clubhouse ban to close things up, and, well, it looks like we've got a pretty standard Clubhouse in front of us.
Gomez has actually been down inside of Rafters, and there's the C4 I was talking about! Holy crap! And Diaz, Gomez is slowly bleeding out. Diaz will get his 4th kill of the round, and he'll confirm the ace! The Goyo saving round number 2 and giving KCP their 2nd defense in a row.
In Outlast's favor. Inrio sees one. That's the diffuser player now dropped. Jewel falls. The threat. And Inrio, he's going to be a massive threat. He takes care of 2 more. That's a triple kill on the round. Diaz, a beautiful shot.
Aggressive play. But now that there's no more smoke, Dolphin will be forced to hold on to this with his gun, but there's a stack up. Diaz is watching the angle as well. Wimpy takes out another before there's a trade, but another shotgun will answer. They're looking for the 3rd player, and Wimpy will go huge with the shotgun. A shutout from Pioneers, and their 5th Straight defense. Athenian now opening the wall. It's very late, and Wimpy will get that C4 kill out the breach. Genesis gets caught out to lunch, and wow, Wimpy with a triple kill. The one tap with the Deagle finishing off Panic, who is so low. Athenia will finally make his way into cash, but it doesn't matter. Kansas City Pioneers will take a flawless round to complete a flawless half. They are on perfect track for this 7-0 sweep, and it doesn't look like Outlast have anything to say about it.
To get that fight, but he's not going to be able to take it because there's support from somebody else. A beautiful shot onto Panic will change things quickly now that Gomez rolls on into blue. Jolton gets a second, Diaz gets one, and just like that, KCP, a flawless round in the closing seconds, and a 7-0 beautiful first week for them.
Wow. What a start from the Pioneers, and I'd be hard-pressed to say that I'm not surprised. With the way that we saw Outlast playing the beginning stages of that match and just with how absolutely dominant the Pioneers looked, I think this was definitely in the cards. So Outlast, once again I say, welcome to Challenger League. That was your hazing. That was your initiation. So hopefully you've learned a lot from this game, because KCP certainly didn't pull out many stops. I think KCP definitely followed Cookie's advice, treat Outlast like any other team, and it worked in their favor. So Outlast, I think it's safe to say you got some work to do. It's back to the drawing board, but again, treat this as a learning experience. You know, it's your first game in CL. Everyone has these games, even PDHM. Ex-PDHM were in playoffs, and they got 7-0'd by Slaughterhouse.
True.
It can happen to good teams. You know, you guys still got time, but until then, that was a quick one, and we're going to let the analyst desk deliberate about it. So Cookies, Brimstone, and CDAPS, good luck.
Indeed, deliberate we will. First and foremost, Connor, let's talk about the fact that, I mean, this is a 7-0. Outlast, this was a tough one for them, but we were talking about how out of 7 rounds, they did have 3 opening picks. Where do you go from translating opening picks into wins?
Well, you have to actually use the man advantage and push on your takes in a way that logically makes sense. But for the side of Outlast, like we said, they got that initial early round presence, and they didn't really do anything with it. They didn't seem to have the clear vision of where they wanted to go from there. Sure, the Cali was incorporated into their attacks because they wanted to bypass the anti-breaching measures and not have to worry about things like roamers down below. I mean, I get it. Going against KCP is scary. You've got people like Jolton, DS Lucas, Gomez running around all over the map, even Enrio sometimes. If you have any way to not have to take them in head-to-head gunfights, it's pretty good. But for the side of Outlast, they were trying to do it, but then they were still going down below and trying to fight the roamers when it seemed kind of counterintuitive to that degree and ended up like wasted time where there was just so much stalling coming out. I mean, it even happened on DS's Ace where they just locked up inside a master bedroom, then a nitro cell comes up and all of a sudden your entire team's gone.
Well, they definitely had the mental aspect, and you knew that right from round 1. We were talking about it where you know, they fell back onto site from the top floor, and then when you're looking at like the players' views from Outlast, they're all still staring at the top floor from various windows and angles, you know, just waiting for someone to show up, even though they're all back on site at that point. They were in their heads from the get-go. But let's talk about that Diaz Ace, Cookies, because that looked like a round that should have been in the hands of Outlast, and then all of a sudden they just ripped that victory back.
Okay, so you know, I mean, that whole round, it was like, yeah, that was a round. You know, they actually got an opening pick, right? They killed the bandit because they had 3 people stacked on the server window. You know, I made a joke. I was like, they're kind of playing it like an RTS, right? They're like all blobbed together like a squad. They're moving as a unit. So they did that, which is fine, I guess, in theory, but not really. They can't move so close to each other that you're literally all within the range of a C4. They're literally all stacked on each other, just mobbing around like a swarm of bees. DS hears all this thumping from below, tosses the C4 up, and yeah, that's just, it's nightmare fuel. You dream about that. That's like a C4. You're dreaming about it, and you have sleep paralysis, or what's the word? Paralysis. You have sleep paralysis dreaming about like a C4 like that, and you can't move, and it's on your CL opening day, and you get blown. to pieces. And it's horrible.
Well, it's funny too because that's always the complaint is that like you can't get players to actually play together. They're all coming from different angles, and in that scenario,
No,
they were all right there together.
That's the thing. It's like, okay, yes, play together means you push in the same general direction, not literally hold hands.
Mhm.
Holding hands is fine, just not in that context. And yes, it's just the scoreboard.
Well, yeah, Connor, with the numbers here, you said this was the perfect match for KCP to start off with because you believe that they could achieve these numbers without actually showing too much or giving too much away.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, after the bans and just the way that things were being played, KCP played a very vanilla clubhouse, but they played it well because they just relied on their guns. There wasn't a whole lot of crazy strats coming out. Their attacks looked nice. Their defenses looked nice. And from maybe you're any of these teams like Livid sitting at home watching like, okay, we get to do a VOD review today because we have a bye. And then you look at KCP and you're like, oh, we got nothing from this. Absolutely nothing. And for KCP, that was perfect. They came in, they took care of business. They didn't show off a whole lot. The only thing that they showed off was their gun skill as opposed to the strategical advantages that they've kind of forged in the offseason.
I mean, in 7 rounds, having I believe it was 2 flawless rounds, including an ace from one of your players. You can't ask for much more. But what we will ask for right now is we'll ask for some time from Jolton as we ask him a few questions about the game and this season or stage as a whole. Jolton, how's it going?
How's it going, man?
Good. You got your first win. You guys kind of cruised to the victory there, 7-0. First and foremost, I wanted to ask you about Inrio and the change moving from Beastly to Inrio and what it's done for your team.
The change has done a lot. Obviously, letting go of Beastly was like a big thing for us. We lost a lot of support on that, which I had to pick up, being now the main support. But Inrio brings a lot of fragging power, a lot of big play potential, and with him and Gomez now being on entry, we feel like our entry game is solidified. And Diaz, no one's going to pass him on the flank, so we feel like we rounded out our roster well.
And speaking of Diaz, let's talk for a second about that ace, including a 3K Nitro. What was going on in your minds, or what did you guys discuss as soon as that Nitro went off?
I think there was like a ban wave going on, and like we saw the Nitro, and we saw one kill, and then we saw another, and we had another, and I was just like, oh, okay. And then we knew that was literally all of our reactions.
Yeah, just pure surprise. But yeah, I mean, even I believe, was it that round or the next round where you guys might have gone down 5-2 and you still charged back? Like, it just shows how collectively you guys are working together.
Yeah, we even when we went down on that gym round, we knew where everyone was, and Diaz and Inrio were able to play together. They were able to pick off people, and we were able to get the round back, finishing at 7-0.
And one final question for you before I let you go. Obviously, coming so close last stage to taking it, obviously the goal is to take it all in this stage, but what's your mentality going forward, or what's your goal moving forward to make that happen?
Same thing as the last one. Just treat every single game like it's going to be your hardest game ever. Take everyone seriously as if you would the last. That's what we do every game. We don't try to like undermine people or think, we're versing a bad team, let's just swing them. We just try to play our game and let our game do the talking.
Absolutely, as I'm sure it will as we go forward this season. Thank you so much for your time, Jolton.
You too, Brim. See ya.
Have a good one, dude.